A single mom is forced to care for two rebellious twins, sons of a cold and distant millionaire, but what she didn't know was that these boys carried a dark trauma, and the woman responsible for it was about to return. When the former stepmother shows up at the door, a devastating truth comes to light, and what happens next will leave you in shock. Get ready for a story of love, overcoming obstacles, and forgiveness that you will never forget. Subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're listening from. The alarm clock rang for the third time that morning, and Olivia Forrest reached out to silence it. The small two-bedroom apartment in the suburbs of Willow Creek, Pennsylvania, was modest but clean and tidy. A daily struggle she waged against life's adversities. The scent of mildew lingered in the corner of the wall where the leak had taken hold. Olivia ran her fingers through her wavy brown hair as she walked to the kitchen, where the calendar marked with red circles revealed overdue bills. "Mom!" Andrew's sleepy voice came from the kitchen doorway. The boy, still in his pajamas, rubbed his eyes. "Good morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well? It's early. You can go back to bed." "Are you worried again?" Andrew asked with keen perception. Olivia knelt before her son, her hazel eyes meeting his, "Just thinking about what we're going to do today. Remember, today is my interview for that new job. If it works out, things will get better for us." The note with the address of the Carrington mansion was folded in her pocket. The call from the employment agency had been clear: a unique opportunity to care for the twin sons of a millionaire businessman with a salary that would solve all her financial problems. But there was a catch. No nanny had lasted more than 2 weeks. Andrew hugged his mother tightly. "It'll work out, Mom. You're the best in the world." After leaving Andrew with the neighbor, Olivia headed to the interview. The bus dropped her off a mile from the exclusive gated community, and she walked under the strong Pennsylvania sun. The mansion, a contemporary construction of straight lines and wide windows, emerged imposingly at the end of the avenue. Upon ringing the bell, she heard a crash from inside, followed by childish screams. The door was opened by a middle-aged woman with an exhausted expression, wearing a housekeeper's uniform. "You must be the new candidate," she said without enthusiasm. "Come in. Mr. Carrington is trying to control the situation." Olivia entered the foyer and soon saw two identical boys, approximately 10 years old, with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, running around a tall and imposing man. Philip Carrington, with his neatly trimmed black hair, was unsuccessfully trying to restrain them, while one of them deliberately knocked over a vase. "You're not going to make me accept another nanny. You won't!" shouted one of the boys. It was then that Philip Carrington noticed Olivia's presence. His blue eyes, the same intense shade as his son's, fixed on her with a mixture of frustration and embarrassment. "Miss Forrest, I presume," he said, trying to regain his composure. "As you can see, you've arrived at an interesting moment." "Are they always like this?" Olivia asked after the housekeeper Rose took the twins upstairs. "No," Philip replied, indicating an armchair for her to sit down. "Sometimes they're worse." "Mr. Carrington, I believe we need to be honest with each other. The agency told me that no nanny has lasted more than 2 weeks. What they didn't tell me was why." Philip took a deep breath before sitting down. "Owen and Mason lost their mother in childbirth. They grew up without a maternal figure. 3 years ago, I made the mistake of getting involved with Vanessa, believing she could be a mother to them." He paused, looking at a distant point. "She won their trust, made promises, built bonds. For the first time, I saw my children truly happy. After we got married, she showed her true colors. She was only interested in my money and status. When I confronted her, she simply left. She didn't even say goodbye to the boys." "They're afraid," Olivia said, more to herself than to him. "Afraid? Of getting attached again and being abandoned. It's easier to push everyone away before that happens. Ms. Forrest, I need to be clear. This is not a typical nanny job. The boys need structure, discipline, and someone who won't give up on them at the first challenge." "Or the 10th, Olivia commented with a slight smile. For the first time, a hint of a smile appeared on Philip's lips. Exactly. The salary is substantial, and you'll have a suite on the boys' floor. But I must warn you, they'll do everything to make you leave. Mr. Carrington, I'm a single mother of a 9-year-old boy. I've faced abandonment, financial hardship, and many obstacles. Your children may be challenging, but they're just wounded kids who need someone to stay. Could Andrew, my son, move in here too? That would be, Philip hesitated. A test, Olivia completed. If your sons react badly to female figures because of abandonment, seeing how I relate to my own son may help them understand that not all mothers abandon their children. Philip reflected for a moment. We have enough rooms. I think it could work. Mr. Carrington, I don't promise miracles, I promise persistence. And from my own experience, I know that sometimes it's all a child needs. Someone who simply doesn't give up. The first few days were a succession of small wars. The twins put salt in the sugar bowl, hid Olivia's shoes, and set the alarm clock to ring at 3 in the morning. Olivia faced each provocation calmly. When she found salt in her coffee, she just smiled and commented that it had an unusual flavor. When she couldn't find her shoes, she improvised with flip-flops. And when the alarm rang in the middle of the night, she got up, turned it off, and took the opportunity to check if all 3 boys were sleeping soundly. During breakfast on the 3rd day, Olivia noticed the frustrated looks that Owen and Mason exchanged. "Is there a problem, boys?" she asked. "You shouldn't still be here," Mason muttered. The others were already gone. "I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have no plans to go anywhere." The next day, during math class in the library, Mason deliberately spilled an inkwell on Andrew's notebook. Andrew just sighed and started cleaning up the mess. "It's okay," he said to Mason. "Can I copy the notes from your notebook later?" The lack of reaction enraged Mason. "Why aren't you mad? Why don't you cry or scream like the other kids?" "Because I've lost more important things than a notebook. This is just paper." The simple answer silenced Mason. Owen, surprisingly, began to help Andrew clean up. "What are you doing?" Mason whispered furiously. "Helping," Owen replied. "He didn't deserve this." Mason slammed the door and left. Later, Olivia found him alone in the garden. "You'll leave like everyone else," Mason said. "Everyone does." "Not everyone will, Mason. My mom did, and she didn't even know me. And Vanessa promised she would be our new mom, but she lied. So why would you be any different? Your mom didn't choose to leave, Mason. Sometimes sad things happen that are no one's fault. And as for Vanessa, some people make promises they don't intend to keep. How do we know you're not the same? You don't. I can't prove it with words, only with time and actions." Mason looked at her, his eyes shining with suppressed tears. "What if we fall again? Then I'll be there to help you get up, like I do with Andrew when he falls." And that night, during dinner, Mason approached Andrew and placed a new notebook next to his plate. "I copied my notes for you," he muttered, before quickly returning to his place. Philip, who had witnessed the scene, gave a surprised look to Olivia, who responded with a discreet smile. Small battles, small victories. The local water park was the largest in the region. When they arrived, the twins barely contained their excitement, running ahead, while Olivia, Andrew, and Philip followed them. "They've planned something," Philip murmured, watching the children talking quietly. "I know that look." Olivia smiled. "I'm prepared, don't worry." "Mom, can I go with them on the blue water slide?" Andrew asked, looking at the twins who were waving at him. "Of course, honey, but remember the safety rules." For the next hour, Olivia and Philip kept the children under surveillance from a distance. Surprisingly, the twins had not done anything especially mischievous. "They're planning something big," Philip muttered. She was about to answer when a sharp scream cut through the air. Instantly, she recognized Andrew's voice. She jumped up, frantically searching for her son. Following the screams, they ran to one of the deepest pools, where Andrew was struggling in the water. Beside the pool, the twins watched the scene with expressions of pure horror, not the kind of expression they would have if this were a planned prank. Without thinking twice, Olivia jumped into the water. When she reached Andrew, she wrapped her arm around him and swam back to the edge, where Philip stretched out his arms to help them. "Andrew, talk to me, honey," Olivia begged as the boy coughed violently. What happened?" she asked, trembling. It was Owen who finally spoke, his voice choked. We said he couldn't cross the pool. It was just a bet. We didn't know he couldn't swim very well." "He said he could," Mason added with tears in his eyes. Andrew, still panting, found the strength to speak. "I said I didn't want to look silly." Philip turned to the twins with a stern voice. "You two, what were you thinking? Andrew could have drowned." The boys cowered, but what surprised Olivia was not the scolding. It was their reaction. There was no defiance or rebellion in their eyes, only genuine shame and fear. "It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone," Mason muttered. "We didn't want to hurt Andrew." Olivia gently intervened. "It's okay now. Andrew is safe. It was an accident, right? No one wanted this to happen." Andrew nodded. "Don't be sad. I was silly to lie." Andrew's capacity for forgiveness seemed to strike the twins like lightning. Mason was the first to let the tears escape, followed by Owen. "Sorry," Mason said sincerely. "We just wanted to play. It wasn't supposed to hurt you." "It's okay, friends?" Andrew asked. "Friends," they replied in unison. At night, after checking that Andrew was sleeping peacefully, Olivia found the twins sitting in the hallway in front of his bedroom door. "Boys, what are you doing here so late?" "We wanted to make sure he's okay, that he's not having nightmares," Owen replied. Olivia felt a pang in her chest at the genuine concern. "He's sleeping soundly. Do you want to see him?" The twins nodded shyly. Olivia opened the door silently, allowing them to peek inside the room. "See? He's okay. Tomorrow you can play together again." "Will he still want to be our friend, after what we did?" Mason asked, with unprecedented vulnerability in his voice. "Andrew has a huge heart. He's already forgiven you. The question is, what have you learned from this?" The twins looked at each other, as if silently consulting each other. "That our pranks can hurt people, that not everything is fun," Owen replied, "and that lying to look cool is dangerous," Mason added. Olivia smiled, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. "Those are important lessons. Now, bedtime." The change in the twins' behavior in the following weeks was remarkable. The pranks decreased significantly, and Andrew became a unifying element between them. On a sunny Sunday, Olivia watched from the kitchen window as Andrew taught the twins how to fly a kite. The sound of the doorbell surprised her. They weren't expecting visitors, and usually the security guards announced any arrival. When she opened the door, Olivia was faced with an elegant woman, tall, slender, with impeccably styled blonde hair and bright red painted lips. "Can I help you?" Olivia asked, feeling a tension in the air. The woman removed her sunglasses. "You must be the new nanny. I'm impressed you've lasted so long. I'm Vanessa Monroe. Are the boys in?" Olivia's heart skipped a beat. Vanessa Monroe, the former stepmother, the woman who had abandoned the twins. "Ms. Monroe, I'm afraid Mr. Carrington isn't home at the moment and—" "I know that, dear. Why do you think I chose this time to visit?" Without waiting for an invitation, she brushed past Olivia and entered the hall. "Owen, Mason, Mommy's back!" From the garden came a sudden silence, followed by the sound of hesitant steps. The twins appeared in the doorway, Andrew right behind them. Upon seeing Vanessa, their expressions changed instantly. Owen paled, grabbing his brother's arm. Mason gaped, his eyes widening in a mixture of shock, confusion, and hope. "Hello, my darlings. Have you come to give Mommy a hug?" Mason took a hesitant step forward, but Owen held him back. "You left," Owen said, his voice small but firm. "You said you didn't love us anymore." "Oh, honey, what nonsense. Mommy would never say that. We had a misunderstanding, Daddy and I, but now I'm back. I missed you so much." Mason broke free from his brother and ran into Vanessa's arms, who embraced him theatrically, casting a triumphant glance at Olivia. The sound of a door opening interrupted the moment. Philip entered the hall, freezing at the sight. His face transformed into a mask of fury. "What are you doing in my house?" he asked with a dangerously calm voice. "Darling, what a pleasant surprise. You're home early?" "I repeat, what are you doing in my house, Vanessa?" "Visiting my children, of course. I miss them." "Miss them? After 2 years without a call, a letter, nothing?" Olivia realized that the situation could escalate quickly. "Boys, why don't you go upstairs with Andrew while the adults talk?" "No!" Mason protested, tears falling. "I want to stay." "No, Olivia's right," Philip said. "This isn't a conversation for you to hear." As the boys disappeared upstairs, Philip turned his attention to Vanessa. "My lawyer will love to hear about this visit." "Direct violation of the restraining order." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Please, Philip, that was an exaggeration. I'm the only mother those boys have ever known. A mother who abandoned them to run off with my former partner, taking a considerable amount of my money." "Olivia has every right to be here," Philip added. "She has done more for my sons in a month than you did in all the years you were with us." The look Vanessa gave Olivia was pure venom. "Ah, I see now. Replaced me with a younger, more maternal model? Already won over the brats, and now you're eyeing the whole package, aren't you? That's enough. You have 10 seconds to get out of my house before I call security." With a last venomous look, Vanessa headed for the door. "Tell the boys I'll be back. A mother always comes back to her children." When the door closed, Philip leaned against the wall. "I'm sorry you had to witness that. Vanessa is complicated." "The boys never mentioned there was a restraining order," Olivia commented. "They don't know. After the divorce and the financial scandal, I thought it was best to spare them the sordid details." "What do you think she really wants?" "Money, as always. She must have spent everything she took." "And the boys are her ticket back in," Olivia concluded. "Mason seemed especially vulnerable. He was always more attached to her. Mason has this desperate need to be loved, to belong." "We need to talk to them," Olivia said. "They must be confused, scared." When they entered the twins' room, they found the 3 boys sitting on Owen's bed. Andrew was in the middle, one arm around each twin. "Is she going to come back to live here?" Mason asked, his voice small and hopeful. "No, Mason. Vanessa isn't going to come back to live here," Philip replied. "Why?" the boy insisted, tears forming in his eyes. "Because she's lying," Owen interrupted. "She always lies." "Why don't you tell him the truth, Dad, that she stole your money and ran away with Uncle Carl?" Philip paled, surprised at how much his son knew. Olivia approached. "Sometimes people who are supposed to love us make decisions that hurt us," she said softly. "Not because we're not enough, but because something is broken inside them." "But she said she loved me. She said she was my mother," Mason sobbed. "And our real mom didn't even get a chance to love us," Owen added, his voice breaking. Andrew surprised everyone. "My dad left when I was little. He said he didn't want to be a father. For a long time I thought it was because there was something wrong with me. But my mom told me something I never forgot. Sometimes good people make bad choices, and bad people pretend to be good. But that doesn't change who I am." "Vanessa lied to all of us," Philip said finally. "She didn't come back because she missed you. She came back because she needs something." "So she doesn't really love us?" Mason asked, heartbroken. "I think Vanessa loves in her own way," Olivia responded carefully. "But real love means staying, even when it's hard." "Like you do with Andrew?" Owen asked, looking directly at her. Olivia nodded. "Like I try to do every day." "And like you guys do for me," Philip added. "You are the most important thing in my life." The tension at the Carrington mansion grew each day. Mason became increasingly withdrawn, retreating into an inner world. Owen channeled his anger into his studies and the piano, an instrument he had previously played only out of obligation. On a particularly tense day, when they arrived home from school, they found several luxurious gifts at the door, all addressed to the twins. Philip immediately confiscated the packages. "They're presents from Vanessa, aren't they?" Mason asked, his voice mixing disappointment and hope. "They are, son. But we can't accept them," Philip replied. "Why not?" the boy insisted. She's just trying to be nice. She's trying to buy you, like she did before, Owen murmured. That night during dinner, the tension exploded. Mason barely touched his food, stirring it listlessly. "Why do you hate her so much?" he questioned Owen suddenly. "Because she abandoned us. Because she lied. Because she hurt Dad," Owen replied, his voice rising. "Maybe she's changed," Mason retorted. "People can change." "Not her," Owen said bitterly. "She only cares about the money." "That's not true," Mason shouted, pushing his plate away, which fell to the floor with a crash. Philip tried to intervene, but Mason was already running out of the dining room, Owen right behind him. Olivia and Andrew exchanged worried glances. "I'll talk to them," Olivia said, getting up. She found the twins in their room, Mason crying on his bed, Owen sitting on his, arms crossed, face closed off. "Boys, I know you're confused and hurt," she began. "He doesn't understand," Owen interrupted, pointing to his brother. "She's going to hurt us again. She always hurts us." You don't know that," Mason retorted between sobs. "You just want me to be unhappy like you." The cruel words made Owen recoil as if he had been slapped. His eyes filled with tears that he quickly tried to hide. "I just want to protect you," he whispered. The silence that followed was broken by the shrill ringing of the phone in the hallway. Moments later, Rose knocked on the door. "Miss Forrest, it's for you. Andrew's school." Olivia frowned, worried. Andrew was right there in the next room talking to Philip. Why would the school call? When she answered, the principal's voice sounded tense. "Miss Forrest? I'm calling because a woman tried to pick up your son today. She said she was a relative and that you had authorized it." Olivia felt her blood run cold. "Who?" She wouldn't identify herself, but she was blonde, elegant. When we asked for identification, she got nervous and left quickly. Vanessa. It had to be. But why would she pick up Andrew? Unless... Olivia ran back to the twins' room, where Philip was now with the three boys. "Philip, we need to talk. Now." In the hallway, she quickly explained the call. "She tried to take Andrew. I think she's trying to use him as a form of pressure, or to get closer to Mason and Owen." Philip's expression hardened. "This has gone too far. I'm going to activate security and call my lawyer." That night, with reinforced security at the mansion, Olivia couldn't sleep. She stayed alert, checking on the boys every hour. Around 2 in the morning, she heard a noise in the garden. Looking out the window, she saw 2 figures, Vanessa and Mason. The boy had sneaked out to meet her. Without thinking twice, Olivia ran downstairs. Upon reaching the garden, she heard Vanessa speaking. "Come with me, darling. I love you more than anyone here. They're trying to separate us." "Mason, no!" Olivia shouted, running towards them. The boy looked at her, confused, divided. "Your nanny doesn't want us to be happy," Vanessa said, reaching out her hand to him. "Come on, let's get out of here." "Mason!" Owen's voice cut through the night. The twin was on the balcony, watching the scene with horror. "Don't go, please!" Mason hesitated, looking from his brother to Vanessa. At that moment, lights came on in the house, and Philip appeared, followed by security guards. "Let go of my son's hand," Philip ordered, his voice deadly calm. Vanessa smiled coldly. "Your son. Interesting, considering I'm filing for custody tomorrow." "Based on what?" "Abandonment. Fraud," Philip questioned. "Based on the love they feel for me. Isn't that right, Mason?" Everyone looked at the boy, who seemed smaller and more fragile under the moonlight. His eyes went from Vanessa to his father, to Owen, and finally to Olivia. "Is it true that you stole money from Dad?" he asked in a low voice. Vanessa seemed surprised by the direct question. "Of course not, darling. Your father is lying to you." "Is it true that you ran away with Uncle Carl?" Mason insisted. "Who told you these ridiculous stories?" Vanessa dodged, trying to take his hand again. Mason took a step back. "Owen was right about you," he murmured, tears streaming down his face. "You don't love us. You never did. Mason, don't be silly. Mommy loves you very much. "You're not my mother," the boy declared, his voice gaining firmness. He took another step back towards Philip, Owen, and Olivia. "Our mother died giving birth to us, and you're just someone who lied." Vanessa lost her composure. "You'll regret this, you ungrateful brat. Do you think she pointed to Olivia, cares about you? It's only your father's money she's after." "Enough!" Philip thundered. "Guards, escort this woman off the property." "And call the police. We have security camera footage of attempted kidnapping." As the guards approached, Vanessa cast one last venomous look at everyone. This isn't over. But for Mason, it was over. He ran to his father and brother, hugging them tightly. Owen held his brother as if he feared he would disappear. Olivia felt a small hand take hers. Andrew, who had woken up from the commotion. Together, they watched the three Carringtons embrace, a family that was finally beginning to heal. The days following the incident in the garden were intense. The police were involved, the restraining order reinforced, and Philip hired additional security for the school and the mansion. But the most significant change occurred within Mason. The boy who had always dreamed of his stepmother's return was now going through a painful grieving process, not only for the mother he never knew, but for the illusion of the mother he believed he had found. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after the incident, Olivia found Mason alone in the garden, sitting under the large tree where they used to read together. "Can I join you?" she asked softly. He nodded, without looking at her. In his hands, he held an old photo. Isabella, his biological mother, pregnant, smiling at the camera. "Dad gave me this photo today," he said finally. "He said she was very happy when she found out we were twins." Olivia sat next to him, observing the photo. She was beautiful. Would she have abandoned us too? The innocent question made Olivia's heart clench. "No, Mason. Your mother died to give you and your brother life. That's not abandonment. It's the greatest sacrifice someone can make." Mason was silent for a moment. "I miss her sometimes, which is weird because I never met her." "It's not weird. It's natural to miss someone who should have been a part of your life." "Owen says we shouldn't trust women," Mason continued, finally looking at Olivia. "But I trust you." The simple words touched Olivia deeply. "Thank you, Mason. That means a lot to me." "Do you like my dad?" he asked suddenly, surprising her. Olivia felt her face flush. "Your dad is a good man who loves you very much." "That's not what I asked," Mason observed, with the insight that children sometimes demonstrate in the most unexpected moments. Before Olivia could answer, Andrew and Owen came running through the garden, interrupting the conversation. Owen was holding something in his hands, a small bird that had fallen from its nest. "Mason, look! We found it in the garage. I think it fell out of the nest, but it doesn't seem injured," Owen explained, showing the chick that was chirping weakly. The four spent the afternoon caring for the little bird, building an improvised nest, and researching online what it would need to survive. When Philip arrived home from work, he found them all in the kitchen, feeding the chick with a tiny syringe. "Well, it looks like we have a new member of the family," he commented, observing the scene with a smile. "Can we keep it, Dad?" Mason asked anxiously. "Until it can fly on its own," Philip replied. "Then we'll have to return it to nature. It's its place." "How do we know when it will be ready?" Owen wanted to know. "It will show us," Olivia replied. "Birds always know when it's time to fly." Philip and Olivia exchanged a look over the boys' heads, a look full of mutual understanding and something more, something that grew between them each day. That night, after finally getting the three boys to sleep, all in the twins' room, with the improvised nest carefully installed in a lined box with a heating lamp, Olivia found Philip on the porch, contemplating the stars with a glass of wine. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, standing in the doorway. He smiled, indicating the chair next to him. "Always." They sat in silence for a few minutes, the soft night breeze bringing the scent of flowers from the garden. "The boys are changed," Philip commented finally, "especially Mason. It's like a weight has been lifted off him." "The truth does that. As painful as it may be initially, it frees." "I owe my sanity to you, Olivia," he said, turning to face her. "And the happiness of my children. They are wonderful children. They just needed to feel safe to show it." "It's not just that." Philip paused, choosing his words carefully. "It's you, the way you understand them, how you respect their pain without allowing that pain to define them. The way you brought Andrew, showing them what a healthy relationship between mother and son is." Olivia felt her heart race at his words. "I just did what any mother would do." "Any real mother," Philip corrected, his intense eyes fixed on her. "And that's exactly what my children needed, and maybe what I needed too." The silence that followed was loaded with unspoken possibilities, with feelings that had grown slowly, day after day, moment after moment. "Mason asked me today if I like you," Olivia confessed, feeling her face flush. Philip raised his eyebrows, surprised. "And what did you answer?" He was interrupted before I could answer. "And what would your answer have been?" Philip asked, his voice softer, leaning slightly in her direction. Olivia hesitated for just a moment. "I would have said yes, that I like his father very much." The smile that lit up Philip's face made her heart skip. Slowly he reached for her hand, interlacing his fingers. "What a coincidence," he murmured, "because I also like Andrew's mother very much." The following weeks brought a new routine to the Carrington mansion. The rescued bird, named Freedom at Andrew's suggestion, grew strong and healthy under the attentive care of the three boys. Owen had become surprisingly dedicated to the little creature, reading everything he could find about that species and taking meticulous notes on its development. The relationship between the brothers also strengthened after the crisis with Vanessa. Mason, free from the illusion he had carried for so long, seemed lighter, more authentic in his emotions. Owen, in turn, allowed himself moments of vulnerability that he would previously hide at all costs. One afternoon, while the boys were finishing their homework in the library under Olivia's supervision, Philip entered carrying a large envelope. "Boys, I have some important news," he announced, sitting down with them at the table. "The judge has decided to permanently maintain the restraining order against Vanessa. She will no longer be able to approach you or the house." Owen let out a sigh of relief. Mason, to everyone's surprise, just nodded calmly. "Are you okay with that, Mason?" Philip asked, concerned about his son's restrained reaction. "I am," the boy replied, surprising everyone with his maturity. "She doesn't really love us, and we already have people who do." His gaze swept over everyone in the room, lingering on Olivia for a significant moment. A look of recognition, of acceptance. "I have some other news," Philip continued. "Remember how you wanted to do something special for your upcoming birthday? Well, I've booked the beach house for us to spend a week there, all of us." "All of us?" Andrew asked, looking anxiously at his mother. "Yes, all of us," Philip confirmed, sharing a smile with Olivia. "If your mother agrees, of course." "Well, it seems someone has already decided for us," Olivia commented with a smile as the three boys celebrated the news. The trip to the beach was a revelation for everyone. Away from the mansion, the difficult memories, the shadows of Vanessa, a new family dynamic began to emerge. Philip, normally reserved and formal, revealed himself to be playful and relaxed, initiating water fights and helping the boys build elaborate sandcastles. On a particularly beautiful afternoon, while Andrew and the twins explored tide pools under Philip's watchful eye, Olivia walked alone on the beach, reflecting on the extraordinary changes in her life in recent months. Suddenly Philip appeared beside her, breathing a little heavily. "The boys found a fascinating crab and dismissed me. Apparently I'm not enough of an expert in marine biology." Olivia laughed. "And where is the expert?" "A nice lady with a shell guide who offered to show them the best places to explore. I made sure she wasn't a child snatcher before I walked away." They continued walking side by side, their fingers occasionally touching, sending shivers up Olivia's arm. "I've never seen my children so happy," Philip commented, looking at the horizon where the sun was beginning to set. "It's like they're finally living their childhoods, not just surviving them." They're resilient, Olivia replied. All children are. They just need an environment where they can feel safe to heal their wounds. Philip stopped walking, turning to face her. You created that environment, Olivia. You came into our lives when we were at rock bottom and brought light, structure, love. I didn't do anything alone, she protested softly. You've always been there for them, even when you didn't know exactly what to do. Before you arrived, I was just keeping them alive. You taught us all how to truly live. He took a step forward, closing the space between them. Slowly, as if afraid to scare her, Philip placed a hand on her face, his touch gentle as a breeze. Olivia, I know I started as your employer and I completely understand if you find this inappropriate, but I can't pretend anymore that what I feel for you is just gratitude or friendship. Her heart quickened. And what do you feel? She whispered. Love, he answered simply. A love that has grown slowly and deeply, day after day, moment after moment. A love that I never expected to feel again. Olivia felt tears in her eyes, moved by the sincerity in his voice, by the vulnerability in his gaze. I love you too, she confessed, the words finally released. And I'm scared, because I never thought I would find this, especially not like this, not here. The smile that lit up Philip's face was pure joy. Slowly, respectfully, he leaned in and kissed her, a delicate kiss, full of promise and possibility. When they broke apart, both were laughing softly, like teenagers who had just discovered first love. I think we need to talk to the boys, Olivia said, biting her lip nervously. I think they already know, Philip replied, tilting his head towards the water. Olivia turned and saw 3 figures watching them from the water's edge, Andrew and the twins, all with huge smiles on their faces. Owen gave a thumbs up, while Mason jumped up and down with excitement. Andrew just smiled, his eyes shining with a happiness that Olivia hadn't seen in a long time. At that moment, under the sky that was turning orange and pink, Olivia realized that her family had grown in ways she never could have imagined. What had begun as a desperately needed job opportunity had transformed into the greatest gift of all. A new beginning, not only for Andrew and her, but for all of them. The return to the mansion after the week at the beach marked the beginning of a new phase. The relationship between Olivia and Philip was now open, although both maintained appropriate discretion in front of the children. The subtle changes were evident. Glances exchanged across the breakfast table, hands that met when they thought no one was looking, late-night conversations that stretched on. Rose was the first to comment, finding Olivia in the kitchen as she prepared hot chocolate for the children on a chilly night. Finally, the housekeeper said with a satisfied smile. I was wondering how long it would take you two to realize the obvious. Olivia felt her face flush. That transparent? To someone who lives with you every day? Completely. Rose laughed, helping to place the mugs on a tray. It's good to see Mr. Carrington smiling again. And the boys, they're blossoming. We're all learning to be a family, Olivia replied thoughtfully. It's new for all of us. The word family still scared her a little. After years of it just being her and Andrew against the world, the idea of sharing her life with other people, especially people who had suffered abandonment, brought both hope and anxiety. One Sunday afternoon, while Philip worked in his office finalizing some documents, Olivia and the boys decided to bake cookies. The kitchen soon turned into a joyful war zone, with flour everywhere and laughter echoing through the walls. Mom, can I put in more chocolate chips? Andrew asked, already with his hands full of chocolate chips. Just a little more, sweetheart, or the dough won't hold, Olivia replied, helping Mason measure the vanilla. It was only when she noticed the sudden silence that Olivia realized what had happened. Andrew had called her Mom, something perfectly normal, but for the first time he had done it in front of the twins. The two looked at Andrew, then at Olivia, processing the word and everything it represented. Sorry, Andrew murmured, realizing the discomfort. I didn't. You don't have to apologize, Owen said quickly. It's normal. She is your mom. Do you think? Mason hesitated, looking at the cookie dough as if it were suddenly the most interesting thing in the world. "Do you think we could call her that someday too?" The innocent question hit Olivia like a wave. She put the wooden spoon in the bowl, trying to control the emotion that threatened to overflow. "That would be," she began, her voice failing. "That would be a great honor for me, Mason. But it's a very important decision that you and Owen need to make when you're ready. If you're ready, there's no rush." "But you wouldn't mind?" Owen asked, his serious eyes studying her intently. Olivia shook her head, unable to hold back the tears now. "No, honey, I wouldn't mind at all." Andrew, sensing the emotion of the moment, approached the twins. "When I was 6, my teacher asked why I didn't have a dad. I got really mad and said I did. He just didn't live with us." The twins listened attentively. Andrew rarely spoke about his absent father. "But when I came home, my mom explained that families come in all shapes and sizes. Some have a mom and dad, others just dad, others just mom, others have 2 dads or 2 moms. And some families we choose." "Like ours?" Mason asked, hope in his voice. Andrew smiled. "Exactly like ours." Owen, always the most reserved, hesitantly touched Olivia's flower-covered hand. "Thank you for not giving up on us," he said simply. It was at that moment that Philip entered the kitchen, stopping abruptly at the sight. Olivia crying, the 3 boys around her, all covered in flour and chocolate. "Did I miss something?" he asked, concerned. The boys looked at each other before Mason responded with a huge smile. "We're just baking cookies as a family." The word family hung in the air like a promise, a dream that was slowly taking shape. Philip approached, putting an arm around Olivia as he looked at the raw cookies on the tray. "Can I participate in this family activity?" "Only if you promise not to eat the raw dough," Olivia warned, wiping away her tears and smiling at him. "No promises," he replied, stealing a piece of dough as the boys laughed. The following week, during the therapy session that the twins had started since the incident with Vanessa, the psychologist commented on the boys' remarkable transformation. "They are processing the abandonment in a healthy way," she explained to Philip and Olivia after the session, especially Mason, who previously idealized his stepmother. "He is learning to differentiate real love from manipulation, which is extraordinary for a child his age." "What about Owen?" Philip asked, always worried about his more reserved son. "He's allowing himself to be vulnerable," the psychologist replied with a smile. "Today, he talked about how he was afraid that Mason would abandon him for Vanessa. It was an important moment of openness." On the way home, Philip drove in silence, visibly moved by his son's progress. "They're healing," Olivia commented softly, "day after day." "Thanks to you," he replied, taking her hand and bringing it to his lips. "We all are." That night, after the boys had finally fallen asleep, Philip invited Olivia for a glass of wine on the porch, a ritual they had established in recent weeks. "I have something to show you," he said, handing her an envelope. Inside, Olivia found legal documents, a formal adoption proposal for Andrew. "Philip, this is—" "Only if you want to," he hastened to say, "and only when you're ready. But I want Andrew to know that he has a permanent place in this family, just like you." The implications of the proposal struck her deeply. It wasn't just a romantic gesture for her. It was a commitment to her son, a recognition that the package came complete. "I need to talk to Andrew first," she said finally. "It's an important decision for him." "Of course," Philip agreed. "No rush. But I want you to know that I love your son as much as I love you. He's part of what makes you the incredible person you are." Olivia leaned in to kiss him, moved by the depth of his commitment. "Thank you for loving my son. It's the greatest gift you could give me." Despite the growing harmony at the Carrington mansion, the shadow of Vanessa still loomed occasionally. Although legally prevented from approaching, she found ways to make her presence felt. Anonymous cards sent to the twins' school, mysterious gifts left at the gate of the property, rumors spread among mutual acquaintances. Mason seemed to have overcome his fixation on his stepmother, but Olivia found him sometimes looking at old photographs with a pensive expression. On one of those occasions, she sat silently next to him. "I miss her sometimes," the boy confessed softly. "Not her for real, but the idea of her, of what it would be like to have a mom since forever." "It's natural to miss what we never had," Olivia replied gently, "especially something as important as a mother." "But now we have you," Mason said, looking at her with those immense blue eyes. "And you're better. You're real." The words touched Olivia deeply. It was a recognition that, although she could not erase the pain of the past, she could help build a different future. The twins' 10th birthday was approaching, bringing both excitement and anxiety. It would be the first major celebration since the incident with Vanessa, and Philip wanted to make it special. "I've been thinking," he commented during dinner a week before the date, "that maybe it's time to redecorate your room. You're growing up, and that superhero theme maybe isn't appropriate anymore." Owen and Mason exchanged surprisingly knowing glances. "Actually, Dad," Owen began hesitantly, "we were thinking maybe we could have separate rooms now." The surprise on Philip's face was evident. The twins had always shared everything since the womb. The idea of separate rooms seemed to symbolize an independence he didn't expect so soon. "Are you sure? You've always shared the same space." Mason nodded. "It's just, I like to sleep with the light on, and Owen prefers total darkness. And he wants to decorate his room with astronomy stuff, but I prefer sports." "We're different now," Owen explained. "We're still brothers and best friends, but we're also different people," Mason completed. Philip looked at Olivia, seeking her opinion. She smiled encouragingly. "I think it's a natural step. They're discovering their individual identities." "Well, we have enough rooms in this house," Philip agreed finally. "We can make that your birthday present. New rooms, decorated exactly as you wish." On the day of the birthday, the mansion was decorated with balloons and streamers. A buffet of favorite foods had been set up in the garden, and friends from the twins' school began to arrive for the party. Andrew, now completely integrated into the school group, helped distribute the party hats, proud to be part of the celebration. Olivia watched everything with a smile until Rose approached with a worried expression. "Miss Forrest, there's something you need to see." The housekeeper led her to the entrance of the property, where a luxurious car was parked. Inside, Olivia recognized Vanessa, staying strategically outside the limits of the restraining order, but clearly observing the party. "Should I warn Mr. Carrington?" Rose asked. Olivia hesitated. Philip was finally relaxed, enjoying the celebration with his sons. Alerting him now would ruin the moment for everyone. "No, leave it to me. Just make sure the boys stay in the backyard." With her heart racing, Olivia walked up to the car. Vanessa lowered the window as she approached, displaying a cold smile. "Hello, Nanny. Or should I say, replacement." "What do you want, Vanessa?" Olivia asked directly. "Today is the boys' birthday. Don't do this to them." "Do what? Can't a mother see her children on their birthday?" Vanessa replied with false innocence. "Especially when she's being prevented by an intruder." Olivia took a deep breath, controlling her growing irritation. "The boys are happy and safe. That's all that should matter if you really loved them. And you think you know them after a few months?" Vanessa laughed, the sound devoid of humor. "I raised them for years. I know every scar, every fear, every secret." "Do you really?" Olivia challenged. "Do you know that Owen plays the piano when he's anxious, not out of obligation, but because the music calms him? Do you know that Mason sleeps better with a light on because he's afraid that people will disappear in the darkness? Do you know that they are finally learning to be individuals, not just the twins?" Something in Vanessa's face wavered briefly, but soon the mask of coldness returned. "Very touching. Enjoy it while you can. Borrowed families never last." "That's the problem, Vanessa. You've always seen them as objects, extensions of yourself, or tools to get what you wanted, never as people. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. I know that you're here because you can't stand to see other people happy with what you abandoned. It's not love that brought you here. It's possessiveness. At that moment, Olivia noticed movement out of the corner of her eye. Owen, who had apparently escaped Rose's supervision. The boy was standing a few feet away, watching the scene with wide eyes. Owen? Olivia began, but Vanessa had already seen the boy. Sweetheart, she called with false sweetness. Come give Mommy a hug. I brought you presents. Owen stood paralyzed, looking from Vanessa to Olivia. His face, normally so controlled, revealed a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, anger, hurt. What are you doing here? He asked finally, his voice small but firm. I came to celebrate your birthday, of course. 10 years old is an important age. You didn't come last year, Owen observed, or the year before. Honey, there were complications. Your father didn't make things easy. Owen took a step forward, looking directly at her through the car window. Please go away, he said with surprising calm. Today is our special day. We don't want you to ruin it, like you ruined everything before. Vanessa paled. Owen, this woman is poisoning you against me. I'm your mother. No, Owen said, his voice gaining strength. Our mother died giving birth to us. Our father raised us. And now we have Olivia and Andrew. We're a family. You're just someone who passed through our lives and hurt us. Now, the brutal simplicity of the statement left Vanessa momentarily speechless. Olivia placed a protective arm around Owen's shoulders, impressed with his courage. You heard the boy, she said calmly. Please leave, or we'll have to call the police for violation of the restraining order. Something in Owen's gaze, not anger or fear, but pure indifference, seemed to finally hit Vanessa. Without another word, she started the car and drove away, leaving only a cloud of dust. Are you okay? Olivia asked gently, kneeling to be at eye level with the boy. Owen nodded, surprisingly serene. I am. I just needed to say that, for her and for myself. That was very brave. I learned from you, he replied simply before hugging her tightly. Thank you for being here, for staying. Hand in hand they returned to the party, where Mason was distributing slices of the enormous chocolate cake. When he saw his brother, he smiled widely. Where were you? You're going to miss all the fun. Just sorting something out, Owen replied, exchanging a knowing look with Olivia. But now it's really over. And somehow everyone knew it was true. A chapter had finally closed, allowing the next one to begin. A chapter written not by abandonment and manipulation, but by choice and true love. In the months that followed, life at the Carrington mansion found a new rhythm. The twins, now in separate rooms, developed their individualities while maintaining the special connection that had always bound them together. Owen transformed his room into a small observatory, with posters of constellations and a telescope that Philip had given him as a belated birthday present. Mason covered his walls with posters of soccer teams and turned a corner into a small library of adventure books. Andrew, now officially part of the family through the adoption that Philip had finalized with the boys' enthusiastic approval, flourished in the new environment. His room, adjacent to the twins, had become a meeting point for the three, who often gathered there to play video games or plan their next adventures. The relationship between Olivia and Philip had also evolved. What had begun as mutual admiration and respect had transformed into a deep love, based not only on attraction, but on the genuine partnership they had built together. One Saturday morning, while everyone was having breakfast on the porch, enjoying the mild weather, Philip cleared his throat nervously. I have something to ask you all, he began, looking at each face around the table, and I need each of your honest opinions. The three boys looked at him with curiosity, while Olivia felt her heart quicken, intuiting what was to come. As you know, in recent months our family configuration has changed quite a bit. Andrew and Olivia have become an essential part of our lives, in a way I never imagined possible again. He paused, taking a small velvet box from his pocket. Mason's eyes widened as he recognized the object. "I'm in love with Olivia," Philip continued, looking directly at her with so much love that her heart almost exploded. "And I would like to ask her to marry me. But as this would affect all of you, I want to know what you think before I do." A momentary silence fell over the table, broken almost immediately by Mason. "Yes! Say yes, Olivia!" Owen, more restrained but equally excited, nodded vigorously. "I think that would be amazing." And all eyes turned to Andrew, who studied Philip with a serious expression. "Are you going to make my mom happy forever? Promise." The question, so simple and direct, brought tears to Olivia's eyes. Philip faced the boy with equal seriousness. "I'm going to do my best every day, Andrew, that's a promise." Andrew smiled, satisfied with the answer. "Then it's okay. You have my approval." With the boy's blessing obtained, Philip finally knelt beside Olivia's chair, opening the small box to reveal a delicate ring with a single sparkling stone. "Olivia Forrest, you have transformed our house into a home, our existence into life. Will you officially become part of this family? Will you marry me?" With tears in her eyes, Olivia looked around at the hopeful faces of the boys, at the man kneeling before her. The path that had brought her there had been long and often painful, but she now knew that every step had been necessary. "Yes," she replied, her voice overflowing with emotion. "Yes, I will." Philip slipped the ring onto her trembling finger before kissing her gently to the sound of enthusiastic applause from the boys. When they broke apart, Mason immediately wanted to know, "Does that mean we can call you Mom now? Officially?" Olivia looked at the twins, her heart bursting with love. "If that's what you want, it would be the greatest honor of my life." "We've tried other names," Owen confessed shyly. "Stepmom, aunt, Olivia. But none of them felt right." "Because you're already our mom in our hearts," Mason completed. "We were just waiting for it to be official." The wedding planning involved the whole family. The twins and Andrew had strong opinions about everything, from the decorations to the menu. Philip, normally decisive in business, showed himself to be surprisingly flexible, clearly more interested in the union itself than in the details of the ceremony. One evening, 2 weeks before the scheduled date, Olivia found Owen alone on the porch, contemplating the stars with his telescope. "Mind if I join you?" she asked softly. He nodded, moving aside to give her space. "I'm trying to find Jupiter. It should be visible tonight." Olivia observed the boy's concentrated profile, so like his father in his seriousness, but with a unique sensitivity that was all his own. "Are you nervous about the wedding?" she asked after a few moments. Owen thought for a moment before answering, "A little. Not about the wedding itself, but about what it means. And what does it mean to you? That we're going to be a real family. Official." He adjusted the telescope carefully. "Before, there was always a way out. You could leave if you wanted to. Now, Owen," Olivia said gently, "an official piece of paper doesn't change what I feel for you. I already chose to stay long before your dad asked me to marry him." "I know," he replied, finally looking at her. "It's just all the people who were supposed to love us left, except Dad. And I promise I won't," Olivia completed, understanding his fear. "Owen, family isn't just blood or papers. It's a daily choice, and I choose you, every day." "Even when we're difficult?" he asked, a small smile playing on his lips. "Especially when you're difficult," she replied, touching his chin affectionately. "That's when you most need to know I'm here to stay." Owen nodded, processing her words. Then, with a soft sigh, he said, "I found it. Jupiter. Want to see?" Olivia leaned over the telescope, observing the bright planet. "It's beautiful. Did you know that Jupiter has 79 moons?" Owen commented, his voice animated. "All orbiting together, like one big family." "Like ours," Olivia replied, smiling at the unintentional symbolism. "Different, but connected." On the day of the wedding, the Carrington mansion was transformed. The garden, decorated with white flowers and delicate lights, welcomed only the closest friends and a few family members. It was an intimate celebration, focused on the union of two families that had already become one in their hearts. When the moment of the ceremony arrived, everyone was surprised by the twins' special request. Instead of Philip waiting at the altar, they asked that the four of them, Philip, Owen, Mason, and Andrew, walk Olivia to the altar together. "It's not just Dad who's getting married," Mason explained. "It's all of us." And so it was. Olivia, radiant in a simple but elegant dress, walked to the altar, accompanied not only by her son, but by her entire new family. At the moment of the vows, the three boys positioned themselves next to the bride and groom, forming a perfect circle. "Olivia," Philip began, his voice filled with emotion, "I promise to love not only the incredible woman you are, but also to honor the dedicated mother you have always been to Andrew and have become to my children. I promise to build with you a family based on trust, respect, and true love." "Philip," Olivia replied, tears glistening in her eyes, "I promise to love you through all the storms and calms that life brings. And I promise to love your sons as if they were my own, because in my heart they already are." To everyone's surprise, Owen stepped forward, a folded piece of paper in his trembling hands. "We wrote vows, too," he announced timidly. "Mason, Andrew, and I." And there, in that flower-filled garden, the three boys made their own promises, of mutual respect, of fraternal union, of a family chosen and cultivated with love. When the rings were exchanged and the kiss sealed the union, there wasn't a dry eye among the guests. It wasn't just a wedding they were witnessing, but the consolidation of a journey of healing, of broken hearts that had found a path back to wholeness, together. A year after the wedding, the Carrington Forrest family found themselves gathered in the same garden where they had exchanged vows, but this time for a different celebration. It was the anniversary of freedom, the little bird they had rescued, and who, to everyone's surprise, had remained with them far beyond what they had expected. "Dad said he would fly away when he was ready," Mason commented, watching the now adult bird hop happily between the perches of the large, always open cage. "But he chose to stay. Maybe because he found a home here," Olivia replied, setting the table for the picnic they had planned. "Sometimes, even when we have the freedom to go, we choose to stay where we feel loved." It was a perfect Sunday afternoon. Philip had finally reduced his workload, delegating more responsibilities so he could spend more time with his family. Andrew, now almost 11 years old, helped Rose bring the dishes of food to the garden, while the twins, with 11 years newly completed, spread the blanket on the grass. Olivia watched the scene with a full heart. So much had changed in so little time. Owen, previously so reserved, now spoke openly about his feelings in the therapy sessions they continued to attend as a family. Mason, once desperate for acceptance at any cost, had developed a healthy self-confidence that allowed him to set boundaries. Andrew, always her little man, now allowed himself to simply be a child, secure in the knowledge that there were reliable adults to care for him. And Philip, her husband, had blossomed in the role of a present father and loving partner, abandoning the emotional armor he had worn since Isabella's death and Vanessa's betrayal. "What are you thinking about?" Philip asked, approaching from behind and wrapping his arms around her waist. "About how life comes full circle," she replied, leaning back against him. "About how that job interview changed everything." He chuckled softly, kissing her neck. "I'm glad you didn't run away when you saw the chaos that this house was." "Chaos doesn't scare me. It never has." Her eyes turned instinctively to the small rise on her belly, the newest addition to the Carrington Forrest family, not yet born, but already deeply loved. The news of the pregnancy, a few months before, had been received with jubilation, especially by the boys, who were already seriously discussing names for their brother or sister. "Kicking a lot today?" Philip asked, affectionately placing his hand on his wife's stomach. As if in answer to the question, the baby moved, eliciting a smile from both of them. "I think it's going to be an athlete like Mason," Olivia commented, "or an athlete." "Boys, come feel the baby move," Philip called, and immediately 3 heads appeared on the porch, followed by 3 pairs of feet running in their direction. One by one, each boy placed his hand on Olivia's belly, waiting patiently for a movement. When the baby finally kicked again, everyone's eyes lit up with amazement. "He recognizes me," Mason declared confidently. "Or she," Andrew corrected. "We still don't know if it's a boy or a girl." "It doesn't matter," Owen commented, his hand still resting gently on her belly. "What matters is that it's our brother or sister." The simplicity of that statement, "our" instead of "my" or "your," was the most powerful proof of the journey they had traveled. There were no more divisions, just a family united by choice and love. During the picnic, sitting on the large checkered blanket spread on the grass, Philip raised his glass of juice in a toast. "To our family," he said simply. "Past, present, and future." "To our family," everyone repeated, touching their glasses in the center. Amid the laughter and conversations that followed, Olivia noticed a movement out of the corner of her eye. Freedom, the bird they had rescued, flew from its open cage to a nearby branch, and then to another further away. With one last look at the family gathered on the grass, it spread its wings and flew towards the horizon, finally ready for its own journey. "Look," Andrew pointed, "freedom is flying away." Everyone watched the small dot disappear into the blue sky. "Will he come back?" Mason asked, a note of sadness in his voice. "Maybe," Philip responded honestly. "Or maybe it's time for him to find his own way." "Like Vanessa?" Owen asked, surprising everyone with the mention of the rarely spoken name now. Philip exchanged a look with Olivia before responding. "Not exactly. Vanessa left out of selfishness. Freedom leaves because it's his nature to explore. But he knows he will always have a home here if he chooses to return." "Like us," Mason concluded, smiling at Olivia, "who chose to be together." As the sun began to set, casting orange hues over the garden, the family remained together on the picnic blanket, telling stories, making plans, simply enjoying each other's presence. Olivia, with her head resting on Philip's shoulder and surrounded by the 3 boys who had captured her heart in different but equally profound ways, thought about the extraordinary journey that had brought them there. From a single mother struggling to survive to a complete and loving family, from wounded and distrustful boys to secure and open children, from a man protected by walls to a partner who allowed himself to be completely vulnerable. It hadn't been easy. There would still be difficult days ahead, challenges to overcome, wounds that would occasionally reopen. But they were together now, by choice, building something stronger and truer than any of them could have imagined. As the first stars began to appear in the twilight sky, Owen pointed to a particularly bright one. "Jupiter," he identified, "with all its moons." "Our own personal solar system," Philip commented, hugging Olivia tighter. "Our family constellation," she corrected softly, feeling the baby move again inside her. One more star about to join their personal sky, one more heart in the family they had built, not from blood or obligation, but from choice, persistence, and true love. And in that perfect moment, under the stars that were beginning to dot the sky of Willow Creek, Olivia knew with absolute certainty that they had finally found what everyone searches for throughout their lives. A place to call home, people to call family, and enough love to heal even the most broken hearts.